So Tharco has forklift races.
Oh yeah, you never heard of that?
I've heard of that in general, but that sounds
Yeah.
like a
Well, I
safety
mean, they're
issue.
not literal. I mean, it's you send these guys out to pick up the boxes with the forklifts, and so the first guy that gets that box is going to get it,
Oh, I
give to the
see.
customer. So that's how it's a race.
So, because all I knew is whenever I walked out there on the plant, there was just forklifts all over the place, honking their horns everywhere to make sure they
Right.
didn't run you over,
Right.
or that if you did get run over, you at least heard it coming, so you could brace for impact. But yeah, I
Right.
was
Right.
always making a point to look every which way,
Exactly.
it was crazy. They flew around out there.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we are connected. So you know what that means. That means it's time for us to bring this up. Because it's time once again. We are back from hiatus. It's time for another fun-filled edition of.
Insert title here.
And I'm your host, Johnny Gators. Joining me is Brian Blues.
Hello, everybody.
Who everyone is staring just at Brian and not me because when we were doing the pre-show stuff, since I'm hosting it, I see the camera switch back and forth. And it was driving me nuts. It's like, no, just show me Brian. I don't need to see me. I know
So
what
it was
I
locked
look
in.
like.
Yay.
So I locked you in, figuring I'll unlock you when the show starts. But as of right now, people are just still staring at you. Here we go. I've unlocked you. They can see me now. And let's just let the delay catch up. Let the you want me to put Brian back on the camera?
What can you say, right?
What can you say?
Whatever the people want.
Well, they'll be happy half of the time. I don't know. Clearly, Jay Booger isn't watching live. In fact, is Jay Booger still out there? I haven't seen a comment from him in months.
Yeah,
Do we-
I haven't looked in a while. I probably should have, because that would have been a good conversation piece if he has posted.
Oh, he has
So
not.
Jay Booger, if you are watching, we apologize, and you've got something posted out there. We apologize that we haven't seen it yet.
No,
that's
no,
gonna be a topic.
we've kept up with. He's disappeared. Either he's
Oh,
given
he
up
has,
on
okay.
us, or
All
he's
right.
dead. So we might want to send a search and rescue party. So if anyone knows who Jay Booger is, or where he lives, or if he actually exists, maybe it was a bot. Maybe it was a really
Maybe
clever
he forgot
bot.
his password.
It could be. He forgot his password. Well, he could have created another account and said, "Hey, it's Jay Booger." I don't know. He seems to be missing.
Or he forget what email address Jay Booger goes under.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know, but we miss him. We miss him, and we hope he comes back soon. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done this. You've been hanging out in the land down under, right?
Yeah, upside down.
Yeah, nice to be right side up, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
That's funny. Speaking of Australia, I did a little record shopping this past weekend, and I had kind of a list of things I wanted to find this past weekend, and one of the things I wanted to find were some records I used to have that I somehow don't have, because when I was moving from California back out east here, I tried to pare down the record collection as much as I could. And it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference to pack 30 boxes rather than 20 boxes. But anyways, whatever. I got rid of like 8 boxes or so filled of records, and some of the records I let go of were records that I only paid $1 for that I hadn't listened to at all in recent memory. And because the thought was, if I do get the urge to listen to that record again, I could just go out and buy another copy for $1. Which doesn't help me if I'm actually looking for the record that morning. So one morning I wake up, I go to the record shelf, and I'm feeling like, hanging out in a land down under. So I go into the M section, and I go to dig out Men at Work. And I did not have Men at Work anymore. That was one of the records that I sold off thinking I'll just buy another copy for $1. So I had to listen to Men Without Hats instead.
Men Without Hats.
Yes.
I have never heard of that one.
You're not familiar with the Safety Dance?
You're going to cue that up, right?
I'm going to have to cue that up.
Exactly.
Is what I'm going to have to. How did you miss Men Without Hats? But I remember I told Emily this. I told Emily I didn't have my Men at Work album anymore. I got to buy another one, so I had to listen to Men Without Hats instead this morning. And she said, "No, that's not how it works. You don't go to." No, Men Without Hats does not take the place of Men at Work. All right.
We did listen to some interesting music when we were down there, because these are, the groups that down there don't get out, to the U.S.
Oh yeah. Oh, Emily.
A few do, but not a lot of them don't.
No, were you hanging out on the west side or the east side?
We were in Sydney, and then we spent a few days up near the Great Barrier Reef.
So this is the Safety Dance. Let's see if it's sounding familiar at all to you.
Oh yeah, I do recognize that song.
Yeah, that's Men Without Hats.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now you do know Men Without Hats. You
Yeah,
just know
see?
Well, that was the one that was talking about that the album has like the version of this song that sucks and the version that's good is the single. So when I pulled it out and put it on, I ended up taking it off right away because I'm like, oh, this version of the Safety Dance sucks. But anyways, yeah, Men Without Hats. So anyways, I did find a copy of Men at Work.
Yay!
Record shopping this past weekend. So there we go. And I also found the other Men at Work album, Cargo.
And your camera kind of went out of focus on us.
Well, that's because this one's still got shrink wrap around it. So,
so the reflection just kind of threw it off.
Yeah, I kind of threw it off. So yeah, these are the only 2 Men at Work album. Yeah, there was a third album, but let's pretend that didn't happen, shall we? No one needs to worry about the third Men at Work album. That was a mistake. Even though It's a Mistake was on Cargo, the second album, the third album was just a complete mistake. But I also did find a 45 of It's a Mistake. So, with picture sleeve.
Do we have a sample of that?
You're not familiar with It's a Mistake?
No.
Here's a funny thing. I was not familiar with the song either, because I was mostly familiar with the first album. And
right.
But a few weeks ago, when I went up to Vermont to hang out with Seth and Mike up there, Mike has like the 80s XM channel running in his car. So we're driving home, and the song comes on, and he goes, "Oh, it's Men at Work. It's a mistake." And he's just singing along with the song. And then, of course, once we get home, he's like, "Hey, Seth, make the music thing play that song." So Seth's got to, get on his phone and start playing streaming the song in there so that Mike can. So that was kind of like the song of the weekend. It's a Mistake. Of course, I rewrote the song about my dinner because I ordered the really big steak, and it was no mistake that I ordered that steak. But yeah, this one I wasn't familiar with it, but I gotta say I like it. I liked it enough that when I found Men at Work albums this past weekend, I didn't just buy the one I wanted, I bought the second one too. And I don't think that was any mistake. But, it sounds like Men at Work. If you like Men at Work, you'll like this song. But, I don't know, do you remember this one at all? Brian is deep in thought, listening to Men at Work.
I'm listening, I'm listening.
Yeah, I think we gotta... The problem is we gotta wait for the refrain. And so everyone out there listening's got to sit and wait for us to hear the refrain to see if we remember it. We did actually do prep this week. We'll get to that.
Yeah. We have a list.
We have a list?
We know what we're talking about. Oh, no, we don't. But we have a list to talk from.
It's a mistake.
That's
I've
kind of the
never-
theme
that-
song.
That's the refrain, I assume, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the theme song for listeners of the show every week. You know.
Right.
But yeah, it's a mistake. So no, I guess you're
Yeah.
not familiar with that one.
No, it's not bad. Yeah.
Not bad,
I
but
like the.
Yeah.
It's like a B-side song.
Yeah, but that's actually an A side.
Oh, that's right. Men at Work are a B-side group, aren't they?
So the point is, you don't remember that song.
No, I do not.
Okay.
By the way, I've been listening to the Beatles channel on XM radio.
I've heard it
And-
sucks.
I think it's fine. There was a stretch of songs they played. Well, they said they played from Rubber Soul, which I go, oh, I haven't heard those before because I never got that album.
Mhm.
And these were B-side songs, and some were kind of okay or whatever. But it's interesting and different. You can kind of say, so Rubber Soul was something that was really different, but it didn't have the acclaim that like Sgt. Pepper's or Abbey Road or whatever. Because those are fabulous albums.
I
People
think
talk about
Rubber
Rubber Soul, but it's not anywhere near as good, right?
I think Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Sgt. Pepper are kind of a trilogy of classic albums. I mean, Rubber Soul's got.
But the peak is, of the trilogy is Sgt. Pepper's.
Well, no, I
right?
mean you got Drive My Car.
Yeah.
You got Norwegian Wood.
Oh, and that's a cool song.
Yeah. I mean, and you've got Nowhere Man. You've got Michelle.
Oh yeah.
This is not a B-side album. No, this is.
Yeah, but I mean, there's those, but then there's the B-side songs that really never got much play.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean,
Another A-side song, yeah.
yeah. All right. All right. I don't know. I think it's a solid album.
What's
beginning
the
to end.
song?
Think for yourself.
Oh yeah, okay. Kind
Let's
of
see.
B-side, but good, right?
So this week's show is brought to you by
Oh, they played
the
this
Beatles
song
station.
too, which they didn't get much play, but it's a decent song.
Hmm.
Now, one that they played a couple of times is called "Mother." Is that on Silver Soul? It's a John Lennon song.
That would be a John Lennon solo song, is what that would be. That from the classic Ono band.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing is that when you
Okay.
hear.
So no, I must be thinking. There's another song. There's another couple songs that they played that are, I'm pretty sure, are Rubber Soul, but
Oh, let's see. I think you think about this one. This would be Mother.
yeah, right.
Well, that's the thing is when you first hear
But
that
it's
they go to
it's a little bit boring.
yeah, I always thought it was boring, and I was kind of surprised because you hear about Plastic Ono Band being a classic album, and so I bought a copy for $1. I put it on, and I was like, no, this is kind of boring, actually.
Yeah,
I think
but there's some good stuff. But yeah,
but
well, to
you
me,
do-
the thing about like Let It Be album, the long boring road is the
yes.
boringest song
yes,
ever.
yes, the long
like,
and
oh
boring
my God.
road.
Right.
Yes, no, we don't need any more of that. But I do have to say that as far as boring albums go, you know that Plastic Ono Band was actually kind of a pair of albums, maybe a duet of albums. Are you familiar with what I'm getting at here?
I don't remember that.
No, because that's because there were two Plastic Ono Band albums put out. One was the John Lennon Plastic Ono Band album. The second one was Yoko's Plastic Ono Band album. which had the
Oh, so
same.
that's the version that didn't sell at all.
Right, and that's
So
the
he
version.
fixed that with was it Double Fantasy, where every other song is a Yoko song?
Yeah. Except that Yoko actually tries to be tonal in Double Fantasy. Whereas on Yoko's Plastic Ono Band, she did a little bit of like primal scream therapy kind of thing, and so that's if you accidentally picked up the wrong Plastic Ono, because they both have nearly identical covers, so I imagine at least one person in error picked this up and was quite disappointed.
And he's probably thinking, did I just stab myself in the eye with a fork?
So yeah, I gotta say though,
Is that a bad image?
I gotta say though, not bad drumming from Ringo.
Oh, Ringo was the drummer?
Yeah. The Plastic Ono Band sessions, Ringo was drumming with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's totally. I mean, you can see Ringo just beating away in his drums right now. You know, probably asking.
Oh, so on the XM radio stage channel, there's a segment that's narrated by or DJ'd by, was it Ed Vedder from Pearl Jam?
Okay.
Kind of cool because you learn a few things, but yeah, it's kind of off. But
yeah, well, because Seth was telling me about the Beatles channel and his take on it. Because your first impression is going to be a channel that's just going to play Beatles songs all day long, and they figure, well, that's kind of cool, but how long can they keep that up for? And it's like, well, no, they play Beatles songs, they play Beatles covers. They play solo Beatles materials. I'm like, okay, that opens up to more. But then they throw in music that inspired the Beatles or music inspired by the Beatles, and it's like, okay, it's starting to turn into just another radio station at this point. So yeah, Seth wasn't too impressed with it.
But at least they're making that connection, though. So to me, that's actually kind of good. Because how many times do you want to hear
Letter B? Letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D. I think that was the Sesame Street
long,
parody.
Boring Road. How many times are they going to play that in a day?
The Long and Boring Road. Yes, I never liked that song.
Has anybody ever covered that song?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
you're out of focus.
Am I out of focus?
Yeah.
Am I? All right. So see my hand. See
Yeah.
me. Hear me. Touch me.
Yeah, that didn't fix it.
No,
I'm not sure what it's focused on because your mic looks out of focus too.
Well, I look fine on my screen. So
or maybe that's just me. Yeah, no, I think it's me.
Yeah. Are you wearing your glasses?
It is out of focus.
You are wearing your glasses.
No. Even my little corner thing is in decent focus, but you're fuzzy.
I'm not fuzzy on my screen though, so that's weird.
Oh, maybe it's the pixelation.
Yeah, you might be. Maybe you need to turn your router off and back on. Anyways, we did. Speaking of equipment and stuff like that, or no, where can we go with this? Yeah. So you were in Australia and we were just listening to music. So I guess you're gonna rip a CD for me.
Yeah, actually, in fact, we could do it a couple of different ways. I could actually just pull the image off and then, send you the image and then you could rip it.
Okay, that would work.
You could do. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so I'll do that.
Anyway, you send it to me, I'll be able to do something with it.
Yeah, and I think you'll like it. I might, at some point when I get to it, I'll put together some videos of the light show, which is why we went there. This is, lights to the Sydney Opera House. And there's only like one little spot where you can stand where you actually get the audio that they produced for it. It's like, why don't they have these little speaker sets all over the place so other people can listen to the thing that they produced for it? But no, they didn't. So that's
that kind of sucks.
Kind of one of the faults of the Vivid Sydney thing. They've
or
never got
heck,
that right.
if they transmitted it on a radio station, people could just tune in their radio to it with a simulcast.
And maybe they do it, just didn't tell anybody.
That could be.
Yeah, but you would not, like on the weekends, you would not believe how crowded it is. I mean,
Now,
the place is jammed up all over the place.
now, if Emily were listening, she'd want to know, why didn't you come visit her?
She might say it another way. Does she own a shotgun?
Hey, just
No, I would have. Actually, we met one of my wife's colleagues, I should say former, because he left the company and he's with this company in the Sydney area. So we got together with this guy, who's cool.
Sydney,
although
that's
they
not that far
talked
from
about
Brisbane.
company stuff that I didn't really know about.
You're just like, that's nice. I know about boxes. Yeah. Does that go in a box?
Well, actually, it's her business, so it's the oil and gas industry.
Well, no, I know that, but you're there nodding, smiling like, well, I know about boxes. I don't know anything about you.
I see. I catch your tone now. Yeah.
You didn't have to give away what industry your wife works for, but just to be clear. See, maybe she's got a connection with Dune, who's working on the oil rig.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that could be. If
Dune is listening, I could kind of say, the kind of job she does. She's in that group that decides whether your job continues. That's what she does.
So she decides who still has a job at the company she works for?
No. She's with the group that decides whether that project continues, which could be the whole drilling rig.
I see. So
in other words, damn it, if you're not making money, get the fuck out of here.
She shuts down rig. She looks at the sheet. She sees the number. She goes, we're closing this down.
Well, it's not just an individual. Usually it's a whole project.
Well, she's on
so
the
if there's an oil field in Wyoming, she could be in the decision to pull the plug on the whole field.
She could be part of the panel of people that go, we got to close this some bitch down.
Right. Because guess what? You're not making money now or ever.
I see.
Unless, of course, oil goes to $300 a barrel, which we don't expect.
No, and we wouldn't want that.
You don't think an oil company would want that?
I don't want. No. I don't want that.
Yes.
I don't want that.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Forget what your wife wants. I don't want that. You know. Hey,
she doesn't really want it either. She wants.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she doesn't want that. She gets a discount at the pump. She don't care. I'm teasing now.
A nickel?
Oh, is that all you get
thank
off?
You
is
for
a
the
nickel?
Oh, that's right. The brand name that we buy is higher than. Rotten Robbie. Do you remember Rotten Robbie?
I don't.
The California chain, and that was you pull up the station, it says Rotten Robbie on it. Or Beacon, or one of the cheap places.
Basically, she works for a company that their gas is usually 20 cents more than everyone else, and you get a nickel off. So
yes, you're getting it. You're getting it.
I'm getting it now. That's not really that good a deal.
Well, in fact, usually the brand name station in our area is a fairly cheap one. But we discovered this weekend, currently the stations in Dublin are almost 20 cents cheaper than here. So even within the brand, there's this big discrepancy.
Now if we start talking about prices over in Pacific Grove, people can start triangulating things and try to write in if you can figure out what company Brian's wife works for.
Right.
Maybe we should get off this topic.
Yes, right. That's right.
But I bet that was a long flight to Australia.
Yeah, it's about 14 hours. Now, on the way there, we went to LAX, but that worked out okay, actually. We had a couple of hours to walk between the terminals, and the terminals were the next to each other, not all the way around the frickin' place.
Oh, I don't think I got to tell you about. I don't think I got to tell you about my adventures in flying yet, because we haven't talked since I've been to visit my grandfather, right?
You visited your grandfather?
Yeah, I flew down to Florida for a weekend,
Oh, I
and
wasn't. I missed that completely.
I think
See,
that was
we keep the cards close to the chest when you talk about
well,
social
I
media,
probably
right?
mentioned it, like, oh, by the way, no
Yeah,
show next week. I'm visiting my grandfather. Then you were like, yeah, no show the few weeks after that because I'm going to Australia. So I'm not even thinking about Australia. You're not even thinking about my grandfather because we're
right,
both
right,
focused on our own trips. But yeah,
right.
yeah, this is why we've been on hiatus so long because I flew down to Florida to hang out in the and I got a guest suite at the senior complex that my grandfather lives at. So I got to
Nice.
live the senior experience. So if
Yes.
I work hard enough to afford something like that, that's what I could look forward to. If not, then basically the old folks
Okay,
home
so
that looks like a
just
hospital.
aside on the same topic, I
Yes.
watched this movie on the plane with um, called The Comedian
Hmm.
with De Niro. And there's one scene where he's down in Florida and he visits an old folk show and puts on a show, and it is hilarious. Old song "Making Whoopee."
I probably know it if I heard it. Is that
Uh,
anything like the safety dance?
but this goes back, probably
Oh no, no,
60
I get it. It
years.
is going to be old timey type of thing. I got it.
But he changed the words instead of making whoopee,
Hmm.
which of course is hopping in the sack, to
Right.
making poopy for the old folks. It was hilarious, and in this setting of the old folks, most of them are really getting into it, and you could see a few that were really annoyed.
Uh,
It was hilarious.
well, the few that were getting annoyed need their diapers changed because they were making poopy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And some of the lyrics included that.
It's like this isn't funny. This is my life. Why are
Yes,
you
right,
singing
right.
about this like
But
it's
some
happy?
embraced it. What the hell, right? And
Yeah,
some, like,
we're making poopy.
oh my god. Or not making poopy, which is worse, right?
Well, I gotta say, every morning when I went to the cafeteria for breakfast, there were bowls of prunes, which I did not partake in, but the option was there for the prunes.
That's
Um,
right. Well, that's the old method of keeping it flowing.
yeah, yeah. So, but no, I had a really good visit. I did
Cool.
not get to the beach, did not get to the pool. We mostly stayed indoors and then
Is
hung out
this
with my
South Florida or without
close to
giving it
my
away?
north of Miami.
Yeah. Okay, so
Boca
South
Raton.
Florida. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say it, Boca Raton. We were hanging out in Boca
Yeah, yeah,
Raton. That's where the old folks go.
right. And IBM has a big plant there, so you
Oh,
could be a
okay.
young person that lives in Boca Raton.
Hmm. Well,
I
my grandfather's an
think
old person that lives in Boca Raton. So,
I think that we know a guy that once, early days, before we knew him, did a contract in Boca Raton.
okay.
I don't recall.
But anyways,
We'd have to we'd have to call that guy.
it was a good trip and a good visit. I was worried because I hadn't seen my grandfather in quite some time. It was one of those things where we exchanged the occasional email. I sent him chocolate covered strawberries for Christmas, I'm going to get a little defensive right now. Not my grandfather and his wife Millie. They always appreciate them. They always send me a thank you email. But I have a friend that puts a lot of thought into gift giving, and she made a comment in a conversation that suggested that like I'm awful at gift giving, and she was trying to like kind of defend my bad gift giving by going, well, you got to keep in mind he's not the type of guy that puts thought into it. He's the type of guy that buys his family members overpriced berries, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. But I had to let it pass because it was someone that I get into arguments with way too easily and way too much, and I got Emily. But
The
anyways,
significant other person,
what's that?
the significant other you don't quite get see eye to eye on.
The Emily.
Yeah.
But so is this really that bad of a thing to buy family members overpriced chocolate-covered strawberries for Christmas?
No,
I mean, they're
really.
tasty. Everybody likes them. Why does this make me a bad gift giver?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
Okay, all right. So it's easy, right?
It's easy. That's what it is. It's
As,
easy.
it's as opposed to it could
Does
be
that make
nothing.
it wrong?
No, I don't think so. No.
Sometimes
Everybody likes them,
yes,
and they disappear.
they do disappear. Now, what doesn't
You
work
know,
in my
like this one guy I know. He goes, okay, so like he's going to order flowers for his mother, and he tells them, do not put doodads, with the flowers,
okay, no doodads.
because his mother would save all that shit. No, you want that shit to go away, or you don't want it to be there at all.
The less
Don't
doodads
include
you
the
send,
doodads.
the less doodads you have to throw out when you're
Exactly.
cleaning out the house.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
Or every
no,
visit you kind of go, what? She still has that piece of shit.
well, the thing is though is that you got to be careful because if you had the polite family members that don't tell you things, you might run into a situation where you're buying them strawberries every year and you don't even know they don't like them. But that is not my aunt, because I have an aunt
Right.
that I bought the strawberries for, and I saw her later on that year, and she thanked me for the strawberries and reminded me of her horrible strawberry allergy. So
Oh.
I suppose. Yeah, so I guess if you're gonna go with the easy berry gift, find out if there's any allergies in your family first. And my uncle didn't want them, so she brought them into her work and left them on the table, and they disappeared. So someone enjoyed that gift, and I
That's
found
right.
I found another food item that was not something she was allergic to send the next year.
Right.
So all is. But see, that's the thing. If you communicate, then you can correct that and fix it the next year. You know what? If I have an idea for a very personal gift, I'll think of it and I'll do it. If not, what's wrong with some candy? Anyways, sorry to get off of that tangent there. But yeah, so the trip to Florida went well. We had good conversation. I mean, my grandfather worked as a computer programmer for many years. He learned BASIC on a Commodore 64, so we got things we can talk about. We could talk tech.
Your grandfather.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. He's probably my age.
No, he's older
No.
than you.
He's older than me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I take
guess
it he's in his 70s,
Mhm.
80s.
Yeah, 88.
Oh, so he's about the age of my folks.
Yeah. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
And he still programs and gets emails and stuff like that.
Well, he
My
yeah,
dad
he does
has,
email.
My dad has stopped using the computer.
Hmm.
In fact,
He-
my brother was suggesting that we turn off the Wi-Fi. Says, and there's an iPad in the house, and well, we get rid of that if they're not using it. I kind of go, let's not get rid of the Wi-Fi, because when I go there,
You use it.
I don't want to just stare at the fucking wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you can
have
always-
them keep it for me, and plus, it's in the bundle, the Comcast bundle.
Right, and they still use the phone.
So why get rid of the internet connection because it's in the bundle?
Well, it's funny because now my grandfather he worked in tech, so he's kind of in some ways kept up with tech. He uses an iPhone. He has a laptop. He does email. He prints out a Sudoku every day on his printer from the computer to do that with the paper and pen. So he's kind of using technology to do his puzzles. But there's little things, because I don't think he gets Google Maps and GPS and that type of stuff, because he's like, do you know how to get here? He's like, I'm like, I got the address, I'll plug it into Google Maps. Okay, well, you'll take 95 and you're going to take this exit. You're going to go to the third light and you're going to make the left. And I'm like, I haven't heard someone give instructions with the number of lights in it before the turn in over a decade. This is great. I just traveled back into the 90s when Radio Shack was still a thriving company.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, but so it's like even the people that keep up with tech sometimes
Yeah,
can still be a step behind.
that's
But
right. Right.
yeah, so
But
so
that's
but
not bad though. When I go to see my folks, my dad is enthralled with my iPhone.
mhm,
Well, several years ago, I gave him an iPad Touch or iPod Touch, get the name right. And
right,
which is exactly like an iPhone, except it doesn't have the phone part.
right, iPhone without the phone.
And I keep telling him that, and he doesn't get it. He just and enthralled with the iPhone.
What if you
So,
asked
and
him
then
if he would?
like, okay, so lately I've been going there. Like, okay, so where's your iPod Touch? He can't find it. What do you mean you lost it?
You know, if I had a
He doesn't
phone
know
in it,
where
you
it
could
is.
call it.
Well, it doesn't have a phone.
Yeah, well, now you can sell them on this. Hey, let's take your iPod Touch and let's send it in for the phone upgrade, and that way, when you lose it, you can call it.
There you go.
There you go.
If you can
Just
remember the phone number.
just cover up the spot that says iPhone on it.
And he just no, he wouldn't. He would kind of play with it a little bit and then just set it aside, and it would get. In fact, he does have a cell phone, and that is also lost.
Ah, well, it's funny.
He used to carry it around with him all the time, but he got as well. He forgets about it. Nobody calls him, so he lost it.
my grandmother had a cell phone, and she was funny about it because it was handy because she had it on her when she was on the go. So if she needed to make a phone call, if you're sitting on the beach, she needs to make the phone call, she can make it. And she's got about like 3 or 4 phone numbers she needs to know. Where are the 3 or 4 phone numbers? They're written on a card that's taped to the back of the phone.
Right, right.
And it was one of those things where probably one afternoon my aunt tried to have the conversation with her about setting up the contacts, and about 2 hours into that, it's like, yes, that's right. You just tape the index card here, and that way you can just see the numbers right on.
Actually, when my folks got a set of wired phones, the cordless Panasonic, in fact, just like this.
Right.
And when they got it, my brother was visiting them. And I think his wife took all their phone numbers from all the lists and put them in the phone because they wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So,
and they still don't use that.
although they may not be aware that they're there.
No, they probably don't use it at all. Well, the other thing that was funny about the way my grandmother used the phone was that she didn't understand the concept of, you can leave it on so that you can accept phone calls if someone tries to call you. I mean, she was in the mentality of you turn something on when you need it and you turn it off when you're done. So if she needed to call you for something, she turned on the phone, she called you. And if, she hung up, and if like 2 seconds after you hung up, you realize, oh, I forgot to tell her this, and you called, you got the voicemail because she already turned it off.
Wait a minute. She has a phone that you can turn off?
Well, I think she probably still had like a flip phone or something. I don't. It was still yeah. Well, any phone you can turn off. I'm talking about the cell phone.
Like this thing.
I'm talking cell phone.
Shutting it down.
There it is. There's
Cell
the
phone,
light bulb.
I'm sorry. I was reprogrammed.
Yeah. No, we shifted topics a little bit. No, but yeah. So, anyways, let me just finish up with this plane story. So, I mean, the visit went fine. Everything went fine, and then it was time to go home. So, I take the rental car back. I get the shuttle to the airport. We find our gate. We're hanging out. And we get to a point where, hey, we got like another hour before they're going to start boarding. Let's, get a bite to eat. And the Fort Lauderdale airport did not have much in the way of like fast food in the terminal. Because usually I'll just try to find a McDonald's and grab me a few burgers or something, something cheap, which is still overpriced in the airport terminal. But no, so we go to this sit-down theme restaurant that some golfer owns. There's all these pictures of him shaking hands of different leaders and presidents and golfing. Yeah. I think some of his golf clubs were in a display case because that way you could go, ooh, his almighty golf clubs. Yes. Anyways, and so we're eating, a way overpriced Philly cheesesteak sandwich, or this golfer's take on a Philly
Sure.
cheesesteak sandwich, which it was not a proper, authentic Philly cheesesteak sandwich because it didn't come in a paper bag that you could see through. But that's okay. That's okay. We're eating our cheesesteaks. And all of a sudden, I overhear someone saying something about a canceled flight to Boston. And I'm like, he must be on the later flight. They wouldn't have canceled our flight. They canceled the one after our flight. You know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But so I pull out my phone. I pull up to check the status of the flight. Canceled.
Fuck.
And just then my phone rings. And it's an automated message. JetBlue had the courtesy to send a robot to call me to tell me we have rebooked you on a flight tomorrow morning to Providence. Mind you, I was supposed to be flying into Boston that night. They automatically, without talking to me, rebooked me for Providence the next morning.
Because Providence is close.
It is, but and you know what? Here's the thing. I took the train into Boston, and the train line runs to Providence, so I can get a train from Providence. That's not a problem. But they don't know that, so I'm going to use this to my advantage. So I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And the thing is they basically left me stranded overnight. So usually airlines have vouchers or plans or contingencies in place to put you up someplace for a night. But I'm not getting anything like that from them. So I call them up, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? I just been told my flight's canceled, and I've just been booked to Providence instead of Boston. What are you going to do about this? Hold on. And she puts me on hold for like 20 minutes. She comes back. She goes, yeah, well, it's because of all the construction. There's construction in San Francisco and Seattle and Boston, and it's pushing back all the flights. I can't get you on anything tonight, though. Hold on. Let me put you on hold. Let me see if there's anything else I can do. I'm not asking her to get me on the flight that night. I'm asking her to put me up somewhere for the night. But she didn't hear that. She goes, no, I can't get you. I can get you on another flight to Boston tomorrow night, or you can go to Providence tomorrow morning. I'm like, I'll deal with the Providence. But what am I doing tonight? She's like, yeah, well, there's this like consumer bill of rights, and there's a link on our website for it. Yeah, I'm on the phone with you right now. Why don't you tell me what the... Well, there is reimbursement up to a certain amount. I'm like, what's the amount? How does it work? You know, I want to know how this works before I book a room. It's like, why are you not booking me a room? You know, why do I got to come to you for reimbursement?
Sure.
Well, you see, it's because it was the airport's fault. It's the airport's fault that your flight was canceled. If it was our fault that the flight was canceled, we'd take care of you. But it was, I'm like, yeah, well, how does that make me feel better about this?
Right.
Well, I wasn't trying to make you feel better. Well,
so
you're not.
So that explains why you cursed them out for the problem that wasn't their fault. Because that didn't make any sense to me when I saw that tweet.
Yes, I was cursing them out for the way they handled the problem.
Right.
They did not handle the problem at all.
Actually, you know, I stayed an extra night in Miami once.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the airline's fault, but I think they gave us vouchers and they set us up at a motel.
Well, they did.
I think we went to like a Denny's the next morning for breakfast. Then they went back to the airport and got on a flight. And they took care of everything. You know, of course, that was back in the day when airlines pretended to take care of you.
Yeah, airlines actually cared about their customers. No, they did not take care of me at all.
Yeah.
So at some point, I pulled out my laptop and I'm pricing hotel rooms. And I'm basically at the point where, well, hotel room nearby for under $100, even if they aren't going to reimburse me, I'm not crashing on an airport floor when there's a comfy bed for under $100. You know, no.
Right.
So at this point, I hung up on the lady because she couldn't tell me. It's like I called you, and you can't tell me your airline's policies. Your answer to me is look on the website. I'm talking to JetBlue customer service, and JetBlue customer service can't tell me what JetBlue's policies are. What has happened here?
That's bad. That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So that's why
I'll tell you, why don't you email me the link so that I can pick up on this later?
Well, the thing is, the link was a lengthy, like 25-page document, and what it came down to, is that the only thing they offered me without asking for more was a $50 credit per ticket towards my next purchase with JetBlue that's good for the next year.
Oh, so a coupon. Like when Microsoft loses a lawsuit, they send you a coupon to buy more Microsoft products.
Yeah,
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 fuck you,
exactly.
man.
And here's the thing: is because I put the tickets in my name and Kristen's name because you have to do that. I have one $50 credit. Kristen has another $50 credit. But I usually order both the tickets myself and pay for it in one transaction. So now I got two separate coupons that I don't even know how to consolidate, and I'd have to
Right.
travel with it next year to even get it, and I'd have to use JetBlue again, which But
Right.
anyways. But so I called up a hotel. I'm like, do you offer a shuttle? Yeah, we offer a shuttle. Okay. I booked the room. I called them up. Yeah, I need a shuttle. Oh, okay. And I booked with Best Western, and they told me that I'm waiting for a Holiday Inn shuttle because their shuttle's not running right now, but they got to deal with the Holiday Inn. And I happened to be standing next to a group of people that had been waiting for the same Holiday Inn shuttle we were waiting for, and they had already been waiting there for 45 minutes. And we're just told it'd be another 15 minutes. So it was thanks to the people that were standing outside for 45 minutes. I only had a 15-minute wait. So
Right. Right.
that worked out great right there in my favor. And so I bitched to JetBlue when I got back. And I called them up, and they basically told me, well, you have to submit a claim. There's this link on the website. You fill out the form. The form only gives you so many characters. So I kind of bitched about how they flew me back to the wrong airport. They really inconvenienced me. Their customer service was no help to me. Couldn't even tell me their policy. And I had to, get this room that they have no help for. And I said, basically, I'm asking for my room to be reimbursed. And they came back and they said, we don't normally do this, but we'll go ahead and reimburse your room. And so I gave my information. And so they're sending me a Visa gift card for the reimbursement amount, which is exactly not how I wanted my reimbursement. You can never get
Well,
the
but at
exact
least that's a
penny.
card that you can use.
You can never use it to the exact penny, though. Those things are such a scam. Visa basically gets to
Well,
keep all your pocket change. That adds up to millions. They're totally ripping us off.
well, go to a place that will take it to the very limit and then pay the rest in cash or something.
Well, usually when you use
You
a
know,
credit
like,
card, they put a temporary hold on it. I still haven't figured
Yeah.
out how to get the last pennies off of one. Anyways,
Well, you go through a login and you get the balance on it, right?
I think so. You know what? I'm going to figure that
So
out.
let's say if it's $12 and 50 cents left, you go to some restaurant that's a $30 bill and you pay the $12.50 with that credit card and then the cash or whatever to
I've
do
read
the
online.
rest.
I've read online it works if you use it to buy an Amazon gift card. So I might just buy an Amazon gift card with it because I
Oh,
buy
there you
stuff
go.
off Amazon enough.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But anyways,
In fact, that's a great idea because I got a rebate from Staples that's like a $10 gift card.
yeah.
Visa prepaid gift card. And I've been trying to think how to use it. And maybe that's the ticket. Do you do that off the Amazon website?
Order the gift cards. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but one thing, the airplane has nice entertainment these days. I got the TV screen with all the channels. But I gotta say, when I flew out to San Francisco, they had more channels than the flight to Florida. So I was a little disappointed. But I did get to
Yeah.
watch that Founder movie about the founding of McDonald's. That was
Yeah.
interesting. But I think you wanted to talk about you had some issues figuring out the controllers on the
Okay.
airplane.
So we flew United to Australia and back,
First class, business class.
business class. The
Hmm.
not as cheap seats.
I see. I think that's the most profitable seats. Actually,
Probably.
yeah.
But we don't care.
You got a little extra
Anyway,
leg room.
so the funny part is that when we're coming back on United, I looked out at the plane that was sitting at the gate, and it looked like a tiny plane.
Right.
Okay, and because it was mostly blacked, I wasn't sure what it was. Anyway, I get on it, and you realize, holy shit, this must be a TARDIS because on the outside it looked tiny. fucking huge. It was a 787. So the Dreamliner is actually a TARDIS.
Interesting.
Okay, so that
They've
was just
developed the technology.
The side joke. Okay,
No,
so
I-
the real joke is.
I'm sorry. Did you want a drum fill? There you go.
Ooh, that's a good one. Kind of lame, but okay. So we get into the plane, going out to Australia at the beginning, and I pick up the controller and I look at it and I kind of go, I don't know how to use this. Well, my wife flies all the time, and she told me how to use it. Well, and then as I really study it, I realize, oh, this is just like one of those old Nintendo game controllers. You got the 4 buttons, literally A, B, X, Y, right?
Right.
On the right side. And the left side is the 4-way toggle.
The direction pad.
Right. And so the direction thing moves the cursor, from show to show or movie to movie, whatever you're doing. And then you hit the A button to select it. And then the B button backs up to the prior menu or, whatever. So it's like, okay, so if you're 12 years old, you're going to totally just instantly know how to use it. But if you're older like me and you don't play a lot of games,
you struggled to figure this out.
You kind of have a trouble with it.
I
so
almost
my
wonder...
wife, who never plays games, shows me how to use it. So that's kind of funny. But then later, I hear another passenger talking to the flight attendant, basically having to have it explained how to use the damn thing. And this is not a young person. It's like, so here's the problem, United. Why did you pick everybody has a remote for a TV. Shouldn't that be a model for a TV?
Well, you know what? Old people
Now,
have trouble with...
granted, there is a selection to play games on the TV.
That's why they do it. That's why they do it, so it'll work with the games. But you know what? If you put the TV remote... Let me tell you, the grandmother that had the card taped to the phone with the phone numbers, I remember when she got her first DVD player, and that meant that she had 2 remote controls, and she had a TV that had the DVD player going into the AV input. And I remember we had to spend an evening with her explaining why she didn't need to turn the TV to channel 3. And we ended up... She said, would it help if I got you some markers to color code the buttons? And I said, okay. And so she brought me a pink highlighter and a yellow highlighter. And so I highlighted the 2 most important buttons. I explained to her what those buttons did. She took notes down on an IBM punch card. And that's how I taught my grandmother how to play a DVD so she could watch the Pearl Harbor movie, which sucked anyways. So that dates the story. Anyways, so... No, TV remote control isn't the surefire answer to the problem, actually.
Well, I have seen controllers for these airplane TVs. On one side, you have the TV-style controller. You flip it over, and you've got the game controller. Well, and some of them will also include a text keyboard.
Well, here's the thing.
So if you go to the internet, you can type.
Maybe they should... Here's the thing, though. You do play some video games, and you have played video games over your years.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they should ask you what the last console you bought was. So you get to your seat. Some people will have, the modern PlayStation 4 controller with the touchpad and the 2 thumb joysticks and the touchpad and the shoulder buttons and all that. Some people will get there, have the Super Nintendo controller with the direction pad and the 4 buttons. Some people will get there and they'll have a joystick with a red button. That would be what you would have. And some people will have 2 dials that turn back and forth mounted to the chair.
Yeah, right.
Boop, boop, boop. There you go. You just got to put what they know. Everyone knows some level of video gaming at this point.
Right. Yeah, palm controllers probably wouldn't be enough, you think?
One would change the volume, one would change the channels.
True.
That's all you need. You dumb down the interface a little bit to work with it. I mean, you only got one button, so you don't have a back button really. So that
Right.
kind of sets you at a disadvantage. You got to make sure
Right.
you know what you're choosing
Right.
when you choose. But all you need to do is like up and down would change your channels, and left and right would adjust your volume, and the button
Right.
would back you out if you wanted
And
to.
that
I
that would
guess.
work even if you had just an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, yeah. Although I wouldn't turn the chair upside down and start shaking it.
Right. Right.
Just they might kick you
Although
off
you
the
could probably
plane.
do that in the business class seat.
No, I think that's first class only.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But speaking of video games, video game controllers, anyone who's been observing, if our one viewer is like into gaming, they're probably just drooling at this little contraption sitting here right next to me. And this here,
And maybe we haven't heard from Venison yet because he actually tried to watch us on YouTube first, and he
And saw
saw
it.
that TV in the corner and said, "Fuck that shit."
yeah, yeah. Well, I got a TV in this corner, and I got this console over here, and I know what you're thinking, but Gators, that TV's tuned into channel 5. I couldn't find
Yes.
the image on channel 3. I'll have to Photoshop that. We'll fix that in post. Anyways,
Right.
so if we start with this top little unit here, this right here is the Famicom family computer released by Nintendo in Japan in 1983. And this is not the first gaming system that Nintendo put out, but it's the first gaming system like it. I mean, they put out some Pong consoles in Japan before this, but this is the first real Nintendo. Because Nintendo put this out in Japan, and it's got a few features. Now, the cartridges are much shorter for this than the Nintendo we got, because we got a Nintendo that they slide in, so they put a lot of empty space in those. Because 1983 was not a good year for video gaming systems. So when Nintendo decided to put something out in the American market, they wanted to make a console that didn't look like a video game system, since people weren't buying video game systems. So they designed it to look more like a video system. And that's why we got that design. But in Japan, not so much an issue. One of the design features on this is that the controllers are hardwired directly to the unit for your convenience. You need some extra length to sit on the couch across the room from this. Tough luck. You're sitting in front of the TV right in front of this thing. That's where you are. That's where you're sitting. So yeah, the two
So the cable
controllers,
is about 3 feet long,
and they're
maybe?
hardwired. Yeah.
and then the cable from the box to the TV is another, what, 6 feet or something.
Well, this one's actually been modified to use an AV cable instead of an RF cable. So I don't know how long the original cable was, but I'm guessing
Oh,
it
okay.
would sit pretty close to the TV.
Yeah.
But since I got the AV cable, I just run a long AV cord across the room and sit it on the
Yeah.
coffee table in front of me so I can game on my couch. And the other cool thing is that the Player 2 controller has a microphone built into it that was never a widely used feature, but some games did use this feature some. So it's got this little flap that you flip over and you put the...
Are we going to do a sample quality test of that microphone?
Well, once we get this thing turned on, we can do that. So here, let's turn on the system. So now you see in the TV in the corner, we got Super Mario Brothers here.
Cool.
Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?
Yeah, I'll have the Big Mac and the fries and a Coke. No, or do you have cherry Coke?
Cherry Coke. No, we're all out of the cherry Coke, but we got orange slice.
Let's go with regular Coke.
Regular Coke. Okay. Would you like a Shamrock Shake with that?
Oh, hell no.
No. Okay. No Shamrock Shake. Okay. Great. What about apple pie?
No apple pie.
No apple pie. Okay. All right. So 2 apple pies. Okay. Thank you. Drive through the next window.
Okay. Now
Of
I have
course
to
I-
wonder whether I got a medium, large, or a small.
It doesn't matter. I could understand you through there anyways in theory.
That's right.
McDonald's is always going to get the order wrong. That's why I said I was going to give you 2 apple pies.
That's why I hate going through drive-through window.
Here's the problem I have with the drive-thru these days. McDonald's has the all-day breakfast, right?
Right.
Now, the burgers, they cook ahead of time. The breakfast
Right.
sandwiches, they cook ahead of time in the morning. The all-day
Right.
breakfast sandwiches, those are basically cooked to order when you order them. So if you do the drive-thru and you order a breakfast sandwich, congratulations, you're the jackass that's holding up the line. That's me!
Or they send you to that parking spot.
Yeah, usually
Right.
more often than not, they leave me waiting by the window. Although I usually go at slow hours when there's not people waiting behind me. But they have a few
Right.
times sent me to the parking spot to wait for my eggs to
Right.
cook. Because they actually,
Right.
I thought they were using like that type of roll of egg that you slice off some eggs and warm it up. No, I actually saw behind there cartons of eggs. They're actually cracking open eggs back there. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
they're not pouring it out of a carton?
Well, you know what? That might vary because the biscuits and the McGriddles have that all yellow folded over omelet type of egg, but the
Yeah.
McMuffins have the egg that is yellow in the middle and white around the side.
And white around it. Yeah, that's true.
And I've seen cartons of eggs when I glance back out in the kitchen. So I believe they're actually cracking open eggs
Yeah.
for the McMuffins. Now, I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they're scrambling up eggs back there for the biscuits or the McGriddles.
Right.
Those are probably coming out of a carton. So if you want real
Yeah.
eggs, get the McMuffins. But as you can see here,
But that's what I get. That's what I get too. So
well, I usually
with
get
you.
I usually get a few McMuffins and a McGriddle because I do like the syrupy pancakey thing. But I wish I could order a McGriddle with a McMuffin egg on it instead of the omelet egg. But
right.
well, one time I ordered a McMuffin, and they had a new cashier that she couldn't find the McMuffin button, but she found the biscuit button. So she ordered me a biscuit and replaced the biscuit for a muffin. And I basically got the yellow omelet egg on it. So I was not happy with her.
Oh, bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was bizarre. Anyways, as
Was
you
there
can
a
see
button
here,
to substitute muffin for the biscuit? Is that how she did it?
That's what she did. She found the substitution button to to order me a biscuit, but replace the biscuit with muffin. I don't know why she did it
Right.
that way. Anyways, as you can see here, this is how Super Mario Brothers was originally released. Was in Japan on a cartridge like this. So here I am playing Super Mario Brothers like the first people who bought Super Mario Brothers are playing it. And I still got it. I actually played through and beat the game on this cartridge just to prove I still can. And the picture's a little got up and down lines kind of going here, but it's not bad for what it is. So, but the real cool thing here is in 1985 in Japan.
So wait. So where did you get this device?
I bought off of eBay.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. A guy in Japan, he put together some package deals. So I got the family computer, the disk system. The family computer's been modified to be an AV output, so I can use it on a US TV. The disk system has had its belt replaced because at this point, any Famicom disk system needs the belt replaced. And he even threw in a few common games and discs. So it was a whole start. It came with all the cables I needed, everything I needed in one package for under $200. And so the disk system actually runs off of C batteries, but it can also run off of a power cord. In this case, the guy included a power cord that has a splitter that I could use the same power cord to power the computer and the disk system. And this attachment attaches to the back of the disk drive and plugs to the slot here. And so you turn it on, and if you don't have a disk in, you get this little intro screen. And here's one thing I never knew. I've only played Famicom Disk System games on emulator before, but if you turn it on without a disc, you get Mario and Luigi running back and forth, fighting over whether or not the lights are on or off. Isn't that a little cute thing there?
That's
And
funny.
so the cool thing is Super Mario Brothers was a big hit in Japan. And what do you do when you have a game that's a big hit? You put out a part 2. Now, Japan had a very interesting take on what to do for a follow-up game to Super Mario Brothers. The idea is that people have been playing this game and have been mastering this game, so let's give people a continuation of Super Mario Brothers. We're going to make a game that's just like that game, but it's even more challenging. So that way you've mastered this game and you got the skills. Well,
You're going to the next level.
Here's a difficult game. So this is actually a challenging game, Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan, which in the US we know as Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels. We never got this for the original Nintendo in America. We got a remastering of this for the Super Nintendo as part of the Mario All-Stars game. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my Super Mario Brothers 2 disc. And there we go. It is now loading. And this game was only a one-player game. You could choose to play as Mario or Luigi, but you couldn't play a two-player game. And this game actually gives you differences between the players. Mario, it plays kind of standard. Luigi can jump higher, but he has less traction. So if I choose Luigi here, you'll see I could jump pretty high. But if I run, he slides quite a bit before he stops.
Right.
Then I gotta get that mushroom up there. There we go. And then the other thing is this game has poison mushrooms. And you see that mushroom there's got the black dots on it. That hurts me. So I gotta be careful. Yeah. And the levels are laid out more challenging. I mean, this is level 1, and already, you see this does not look like World 1-1 of regular Super Mario Brothers. It's a much more challenging game. And so in the United States, they kind of felt like that would be too difficult of a game for the U.S. market. We're all dumb Americans, I guess. So they wanted to put out a different type of Mario game that was not more challenging, just a different game. And I actually didn't bring that cart with me, but Japan had this game that we didn't have, which is called Doki Doki Panic. And I'll turn on the disk system and load this disc. And this game actually started out as an idea for a Mario game that did vertical scrolling in addition to horizontal scrolling, and it turned into something else. And so this is the game that they took this game and replaced the characters with the Mario characters and released it as Super Mario Brothers 2 in the U.S.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So people that play Super Mario Brothers 2 will recognize things pretty soon here. So I'm going to hit start here. And see, this is Super Mario Brothers 2, except that's a different character. That's not Mario. But the levels, the bad guys, the music... This was released in the U.S. as Super Mario Brothers 2. So this is really cool to have the original game that they turned into Super Mario Brothers 2. And to play it like that.
Hey, keep working the franchise. Don't invent another character, right?
Yeah. But this, it's cool to have the original. And they added to the music a little bit in the U.S. version. And yeah, I'm trying to play on a small screen here.
Right.
Anyways, you get the idea of that game.
Yeah.
Now, the launch title for the Famicom Disk System was Zelda. Because Zelda was a game that you can save your state on. And so you need a disc to be able to save your state. But in the U.S., they actually got a way to put a battery in a cart so you could save on the cart. And so
Right.
Zelda in the U.S. was the first cartridge release that had save states. Metroid in the U.S. used a password system to save your progress. In Japan, it had save states. I just got this disc today. I haven't had a chance to test it yet. So we're going to try this out for the first time here and see if it works. So this might end up not working. Sometimes discs got overwritten if someone wanted a new game. You could actually go to kiosks in Japan and overwrite your discs if you wanted to by buying another game on it. But luckily, this still has the original Metroid on it in Japan. And the sounds are a little different from the cart that we got. As you can see here, we got 3 different save states. 2 of them have Japanese names. I'm going to pick this one here that looks like it hasn't done anything. Downside of the disk system, you got to wait for it to load periodically.
Oh, one time I got negative feedback selling an item on eBay, It was a Game Boy cartridge that had a battery. And I sold it, and I didn't realize the battery was dead.
Ah.
And rather than the guy coming back to, give me, let me give him some customer support, he just threw down the negative feedback. It's
No,
like,
fuck you. I'm pissed.
Feedback is not for a customer service thing.
No, feedback is for.
I made a mistake. I acknowledge it, but let me help you fix it. I'll even refund the money because I didn't give a shit. Right?
Right.
But no, instead he gave a negative feedback. In fact, I think I even asked him, "Hey, what gives? What did I do wrong?" And I got nothing from him.
He was like, "Yeah, whatever."
So he moved on, but left negative feedback. It's like, well, go fuck yourself. Fortunately, negative feedback disappears after a few months. So
yeah, that's good.
So to be honest, I don't really give a shit.
Well, that fucks with people that like sell professionally because
absolutely,
you get discounts based on your feedback rating. So
absolutely.
You don't give someone the opportunity to write something, and you're basically just jacked up their rates.
Right.
Here's the funny thing. One time, here's the thing, because eBay has like a thing to go through if you need to return something. So I used that once to return something, and the guy was like, "Why didn't you just talk to me first?" I'm like, "Well, because I wanted to get the process started so that they could generate the label and make it easier for you." And he goes, "No, now that's going to mess with my rating." So I actually got on the phone with someone and said, "I am happy with this person. I am satisfied with the service they provided. I want you to wipe out any negative impact from this." And they said, "Well, we can't do that because if we did that, then people would start asking people to ask for that." And,
right. Well, I find it interesting that, you got a lot of people that go into eBay and they don't give any feedback at all. It's like, well, that really kind of helps to give feedback.
Yeah, I do when
I hate it when you got the ad where the guy says, "Please leave positive feedback." That's like a beggar, right?
Right.
I don't want to have to do that.
Or the people that'll send
everybody read the rules on how this works?
Or the people that send a follow-up email, "Hey, if you haven't already, please leave some feedback."
Right. Again, it's kind of like begging, right?
Right. Oh, my life is low. I got whoops going now.
Of course, now on Amazon, you get these things from the third-party sellers saying, "Hey, make some comments or whatever on my deal, whatever," and I ignore it. So.
Right.
But to me, Amazon's different,
Every now and then I go through and put feedback on the eBay auctions I've bought.
Yeah.
Usually, because usually I'm happy with everything, and I just go, "Yeah, great, item arrived, fine."
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been buying up these discs now to play the games in their original form.
Without giving negative feedback, once I did send an email to a guy that says, your packaging was pretty crappy. I had a crease. I don't remember what it was, but it was something that was flexible.
Right.
And he used, like a calendar or something, whatever. And so it got bent in the mail. Well, he had crappy packaging. And he just kind of whined back about how it was so expensive and whatever. It's like, well,
do it right or
problem.
don't.
Do it right. Exactly.
If it costs money to do it,
you mean an extra piece of cardboard is gonna break your deal?
I've had some bad situations. I remember, I ordered a set of 78s, of Perry Como Christmas 78s.
Yeah.
Off of eBay. And the guy took the pack of 78s in the binder, wrapped bubble wrap around it, threw it in one of those like plastic bag mailers.
Yeah.
And mailed it out. Well, you know what I received in the mail? A bag full of shards.
Holy crap.
And here's the thing, the guy refunded me right away. I didn't care. That was bullshit. I was like, you need to learn how to fucking pack a package. This is what makes you think this is at all acceptable. Acceptable. Yeah, this is, Well, do you not understand how 78s work?
It is a learning process. So the guy fucked up, right?
But
so do it better next time.
If you're going to sell 78s, you should already know that. No. I'm not going to. There was no excuse for this jackassery.
Right. Well, how many points or whatever you call it did he have? How many feedbacks did he have?
I don't
Hundreds
even
or
remember.
thousands?
I don't remember. I didn't. I think he.
You know, because it was just a few. You kind of go, yeah, this guy's a newbie. He fucked up. And
That
then you
could be.
go, oh, Doak, why did I buy from this guy?
Because he had the set of records I was looking for.
I know. But sometimes when you got the very low number, you kind of go, does this guy really get it? Am I going to have to teach him how to sell on eBay and package the stuff properly? Yeah, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, we kind of figure someone should do their homework and know what they're doing. But
You would,
no,
you would hope, yeah.
you would hope,
but-
and you would be wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like the guy that's supposed to read the rules. You know, people don't read the rules. You know,
No, what rules are to be broken, right?
right. You know, nobody read Obamacare, so, you know, there's some problems with it. Right?
Yeah, well, we instead of spending 8 years bitching about repealing it, we could actually like try to fix it.
Fix? Yeah, that would be great. That would be probably better.
I mean, that would actually accomplish something rather than just this.
Right.
Nothing's going to get done at this point.
Right.
No
Oh,
one's
did you
got
hear
the
the ban, the travel ban has been struck down again?
What a surprise!
Yeah, yeah. Woo!
Mhm.
Hey, and it's a different district court. Whatever.
Yeah. So, anyways, you know what? We touched on Radio Shack earlier, but we never really. We touched on video games. Speaking of video games,
Yeah.
you have an update on the Portal situation.
Okay, so I had bought the Xbox 360 Portal game.
And you
Of course,
couldn't
I
get it
have
to
an
work on the
Xbox
Xbox
One.
Right.
And it didn't work, so I went out and bought a used Xbox 360 so I could play it.
Right.
Anyway, so there was this article on CNET that talked about this new gaming system coming out, the next model, which, in Microsoft Brilliance, they're calling it the Xbox One X. Is that a fucking brilliant name or what?
That's
And they
gotta be
talked
the
about,
worst.
oh yes, this will be compatible with, not only Xbox One games, but Xbox 360 games. And in the comment section, you have a few people that are saying which games really are not compatible with Xbox One even. And I had originally posted, hey, the orange box, which includes the original Portal,
Right.
doesn't work. Well, after I posted, I kind of go, I really ought to verify that. So I popped up the machine, turned on the machine. Oh, crap. It's got to do its update because it's been off for a couple months.
Right.
Or no,
right.
I mean, over a month.
Right.
Since before I went to Sydney, Australia. So, of course, that takes a fucking hour, right?
Of course it does.
And then I popped the disc in.
Yeah.
And it goes, oh, hey, we're going to give you a free download so it'll run on the Xbox One. So I waited another hour for it to install that, to the system. And then I played it a little bit, realized I don't remember how to use the controls. In fact, like I forgot that the look button actually is the way to change your direction. So, I was going back and forth, bouncing against the wall. Like, how the, frickin' thing ain't gonna work? Oh, that's how. Okay.
You look there, you move.
Boy,
there.
I do suck at this.
You'll get the hang of it.
The thing that gets me crazy is, you push the button forward to look up.
Right.
To me, logically, you push it forward to look down. Oh, like on an aircraft? And then you pull it back to go up. That's how aircraft, like you're flying a jet, that's how that works. Push it forward and pull it back.
Well, personal
But
preference.
no, those controls are reversed. So I'm always pushing it the wrong way. Like, crap. Anyway.
There
So
might
is
be
it
a
me
way
that
to flip
sucks,
that.
or the way the thing laid out, it sucks? Of course, you can change that, but You know.
Yeah, well, Portal sold many copies and it had a follow-up game and has received rave reviews. So I think it's you that sucks, but that's
yes,
okay.
that's
That's
true.
okay. You're learning. You're learning.
Right. Anyway, so I played. You know, this of course starts over because it's in a different console, and so I played the first one or two
Chambers.
scenes. What do we call
Yeah.
it? Chambers. Yeah. So I was kind of getting the hang of it again, but it's so cool. It works.
Okay.
And the other Xbox 360 game was the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Yeah.
That one does not work in Xbox One, and I tried that one too. And that's
Really, that's surprising because I mean the Grand Theft Auto series are classics. You'd think they would have ported those over too.
Now the interesting, this is, you know, if you look up Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, there's apparently for the Xbox 360 there are a couple of versions. One goes for about $50. And this one goes for about $20. Says platinum. So I think it's a reissue. And maybe they're kind of saying, fuck you, this one will not be converted.
But it's pretty much the
That's
same
my guess.
game.
I could be wrong.
No,
same game, but different packaging.
The code is the same. So that has nothing to do with the compatibility. It's the same data on the disc. The only reason one costs more is because people are like, it's the original issue. I don't. Oh wow, Grand Theft Auto is not on the. GTA 4 is on the compatibility list. I guess they didn't bring over the trilogy of the original three. I was actually playing some old school Grand Theft Auto this past weekend because Seth was over, and my Player 2 controller on the PlayStation 2 malfunctioned. Which kind of sucked. Which that happened the last time I brought the system up to Vermont. We were playing some Tony Hawk, playing horse on Tony Hawk, and having a good old time. And then late in the evening, all of a sudden, the down button gets stuck on the Player 2 controller, even though the button's not pressed down. So it's just making them skate around in circles like you're holding the down button down. So we had to stop playing at that point. And the system also doesn't like to spin up a disc when you first turn it on. I probably should get the drive replaced on it. Right. I can't complain for how long I've had this system, and it's been reliable, fairly reliable up until more recently. It needs some work. So I turned it on today, and the Player 2 controller is still busted. So I'm like, well, I need to find a replacement PlayStation 2 controller now. Great. So what we did was I loaded up Grand Theft Auto 3, and we just kept taking turns passing the controller back and forth, doing different things there, and that was actually fun. What's that?
Which platform is that?
PlayStation 2.
Oh, okay.
Grand Theft Auto 3 is very...
I forget which Xbox consoles do you have?
No.
You have neither.
I have no Xbox. I'm a Sony person myself when it comes to those types of. I bought the PlayStation 2. Xbox didn't interest me. I bought the PlayStation 3. Okay. I stayed away from the Xbox. I felt like Microsoft didn't need to get into the market. There was already enough systems, and I always felt like that they were the unnecessary product. The only reason anyone ever bought
rivals, to me, the big rivals are PlayStation and the Microsoft.
Right.
And Nintendo is kind of like a different platform.
Nintendo's its own thing, really, and it's very different.
Right.
But
they are different, and that's what you want, is you've got a different system, whereas Xbox and PlayStation are vying for the same games.
Right.
A lot of games come on both.
And PlayStation was doing well enough that there wasn't a void for Microsoft to move in on. The only reason they've stuck around is because they got the money to throw around into it. So I always felt like they were this annoying rich bully that was getting into a market that they really didn't need to get into.
Sure.
I mean, the first Xbox was a fucking tank that couldn't compete with the PlayStation 2, in my opinion, because not only did the PlayStation 2 have quite a respectable library built up, but it could play all the PlayStation 1 games. And I was surprised the Xbox stuck around. I mean, the Xbox was a huge box. It was way bigger than the PlayStation 2. The original Xbox controller was clunky.
The interesting thing from a business aspect, from what I understand, the original Xbox made them no money at all.
And that doesn't surprise
It was
me.
a big loser. But Microsoft, if you want to give them credit, stuck around and improved the Xbox. What the 360 came in at next? Is that correct?
The 360 came out next, and that went
that
through a
was
few different
pretty popular.
iterations.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only I think it was certain, like, the only reason to buy the original Xbox was Halo, as I understand it. You see, I was never into the group combat type games. I think that is where Xbox really shined, was the group combat style games.
Right.
Basically, I play mostly Grand Theft Auto games. And I don't need an Xbox for those. I got the PlayStation. That's the line I've stuck with.
Now,
and been
do
happy
you
with.
play online with multiple users?
I do Grand Theft Auto 5 online, but I don't interact a whole lot with the users. I kind of
now. Can you connect with Xbox users that are on that game?
No. Xbox has their servers. PlayStation has their servers.
And neither to the twin do they meet or whatever.
Right. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that sucks.
But here's the thing that really sucks is Kristen bought us a PlayStation 4. She got some money in her pocket, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to buy us a system. I'll buy us a PlayStation 4 because she was getting because the only thing that gets me to buy a system is a new Grand Theft Auto game, and they remastered Grand Theft Auto 5 for the PlayStation 4, but it's still the same game as on the PlayStation 3. That was not a big enough change to justify buying the system. So I was waiting for another Grand Theft Auto game to come out before I would have bought a PlayStation 4. But Kristen's into the gaming more than I am, and it got to the point where some nice games are coming out on PlayStation 4 that she's like, I'd like to have one. So she bought it, and she got me the Grand Theft Auto 5 game for it. So I'm replaying Grand Theft Auto 5 with slightly better graphics. And I'm like, well, let me go online a little bit. Grand Theft Auto 5 online for the PlayStation 3 is free. Grand Theft Auto 5 online for the PlayStation 4, you have to have a PlayStation subscription. They don't let you on if you
Which is what Xbox went to.
Yeah. So I could still get in for free on the PlayStation 3, but I can't get in on the PlayStation 4, and I refuse. I don't game enough to want to give them an annual amount of money just for the privilege of connecting to their servers and play the games that I already bought. Fuck you. That's a shitty business model. I'm having nothing to do with that. And
I won't buy into the Xbox Live subscription either.
Yeah, I don't. To me, it's absolutely stupid to have to pay for Live when you're already giving them money for the games. If that's part of the game, build it into the price of the game. Don't. And here's the thing: I was pretty pissed about it because I looked online to confirm this, and you know what? There were people online are liking this. People are like, actually, I think it works out good that you have to pay for it on PlayStation 4. The attitude is that it keeps the riffraff out. So fuck you assholes.
Well, I understand that. Although, see what I did. I had this group, online group that I work with. Although there's not many that get together anymore. It's actually 3 of us. Although there are others in the group, they just don't, they don't just keep, get online with us. There was a time probably a dozen years ago where we bought we downloaded copies of the Unreal Tournament because you could also download your own server.
Oh, yeah.
So you got your own server, everybody logs into it, and we play together, and we don't have any of the riffraff.
Right.
Because a lot of these games with multiple players, you get these bots that just come in and pound the shit out of you. What fun is that, right?
Well, and there are ways you can manage and control your servers. Like, for example, the Grand Theft Auto servers, they'll give you a behavior rating, and they'll generally put people in similar behavior ratings on the same servers when they put you on a server when you sign on. So if you're going to just go around trolling people, they'll put all the trolls to hang out together and go, here you go. Why don't you all have fun just trolling each other? And they'll probably all love that,
Have at it, right?
Have at it, and it makes them happy. I think. I think a troll is happy in a group of trolls. What better place to troll?
So to some extent, buying into shall we say, the annual fee kind of makes sense from that level. But yeah,
If you know what,
but I don't want to do it. My problem is, when was the last? Well, before last night. When was the last time I played Portal?
yeah, I don't turn on the system every week, let alone every month. So it doesn't
Right.
make sense to turn it into a monthly line item
Right.
if I'm not even going to use it every month.
Right.
So yeah, it just doesn't make sense for me because I'm the person that maybe once every few months I think I'll do a little Grand Theft Auto Online, and I turn it on and I have to let it sit for a few hours to download a fucking update.
Right.
At least the PlayStation 4 will automatically update things for games you have installed on it in the background. So when Kristen turns on and plays her own games, it'll automatically update my Grand Theft Auto. But I can't play that online anyways. So
Right.
yeah. Anyways, you want to talk about Dirk?
Yeah. So there's a TV show on BBC America that I kind of ignored because I'd seen the trailers and I go, that looks really stupid. Well, this is Dirk Gently.
Okay.
Detect. What the hell is it? My mind went blank.
Dirk Gently's
Holistic
Detective Agency.
Detective Agency. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so they played the first couple of episodes of that on BBC America, and I go, this was an evening, late, and I watched it, and I go, wow, this is different than I expected, and it was very funny and very, this type of thing, really involving it. What thing are they going to do next? And yes, it's going to be absolutely crazy. It's nuts. Well, I was kind of looking into it on Twitter, and who's talking about Dirk Gently, and this one guy mentions Doug Adams. Oh yeah, and a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide. So I go, wait a second. So I Googled, or I went to Wikipedia, pulled up Dirk Gently, looked at it like, oh, he wrote that. That's why it's freaking insane. So no, it's actually pretty cool, but it's all twisted around, and they actually make fun of everything is connected. That's one of the standard lines, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Dirk Gently is a detective, and then he has this assistant. At least in the first couple of episodes, he says, "I'm not your assistant," and he doesn't want to be the assistant.
Nice.
So it's very twisted in that way. It's so anyway, it's something that's worth checking into. I bet you Comcast On Demand is playing that.
Looks like it's
on demand for free right now.
Yeah.
So I would say check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to. Let's see, where are people watching it these days? Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find check out a few episodes. I think they got it on Netflix. Someone tweeted that they're watching it on Netflix.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So I might have to try to pull it up there.
Yeah. But yeah, let me give it a try. First couple of episodes, you kind of get the storyline. And it's a serial. It just keeps on going. They just end it. So,
yeah,
cool.
Cool.
So that's a cool show.
That's cool. Now I think you wanted to talk about some bullshit articles on CNET though, and this is something we could probably dig into for the last half hour here.
Yeah, one of the articles that CNET had was this guy is talking about the iPhone 8. As far as I know, no official information has come out on the iPhone yet, but this guy is now an expert.
So
and of course, the only topic involved with iPhones lately is should it have an a headphone jack or not?
And we all
of
know
course,
that
the argument is it should have an iPhone, should have a jack. And this guy was saying, well, the iPhone 8 will not have a headphone jack. You're just going to have to get over it. Of course, how does he know? Because there's no information on it. So this is bullshit.
So he's taking the stance that get over it. That's it's cool that they don't have it, or
No, you just get over it because they're not going to put one on.
I see.
You know, he wasn't really defending it. He was just saying, get over it.
So it was basically a waste of an article.
Yes, yes. But so you look at the comments section, and it was actually kind of funny. Yes, everybody's getting into, oh, the iPhone doesn't have a headphone jack, blah, blah, blah. That's terrible, whatever. Oh, you can get a dongle. Oh, the dongles are terrible. And then you get the audio files into it that are going, oh, well, the dongles sound terrible. You know, you don't go wireless, you've got crappy sound. Okay, oh, that's maybe true. But there was one guy that says, first of all, the iPhone has a crappy sound chip in it.
Well, yeah.
So forget about it. And you're not going to get great sound out of it anyway. So just,
it's
don't listen to
phone.
music on the iPhone.
Yeah, if you want to listen to music on the go, they make better portable players. I mean, there's the Pono player if you want to, have an overpriced triangular yellow brick that may have something to do with Neil Young taking his clothes off.
And you can throw it to people.
Right. But actually, I have a portable device. I forget what it was called. But
in a separate place, by the way, there was a suggestion that iOS 11, which is the next release, will support FLAC files. So that could be an improvement.
It could be.
But,
But it's still, a crappy player for files.
I think my take on it would be, okay, yeah, there's no headphone jack. Nobody talks about the other improvements to the iPhones or the other dangers. The dangers is, okay, so the CPU runs like 25% faster. This is on the 7 versus the 6.
Mm-hmm.
And the starting size is double. So rather than, is it 16 gigs was the starting point on the 6? And now 64 gig is on the 7. So they double the size, which means, hey, Apple is saying, hey, look at the bloatware that's coming in because this shit won't work on the old phones. You're going to have to upgrade. To me, that's the thing that people are ignoring.
Right.
And, as far as the dongle versus whatever, like, okay. But, the average dude is not going to really notice the difference in sound quality.
Yeah, well, I think it was bullshit to remove the headphone jack though because it's such a
of course
widely
I totally
used
agree.
feature. Yeah, it was.
I totally agree. Yeah,
it was a bonehead move.
Yeah, actually, one guy on the thing says, "Well, you know what? I'm switching to." I forget what I don't remember if he actually said Samsung or some Android device. And I kind of go, okay, enjoy your Android. And then actually he and I had some conversation about it because I have a couple of Android tablets and I kind of like them, but there's, there's some features I've never used. Like I haven't used the camera. He seemed to suggest that the camera on the Samsung is better than the iPhone because he bitched about the camera and and shall we say nighttime photography. Okay.
Well, if you want a camera, buy a camera.
And in fact, I think I said that to him as well. Yeah, I use a camera. Now, other people say that the point and shoot camera, simple one, those are disappearing because people are using their iPhones or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Cameras. I mean, nowadays, iPhones are so widely, or phones in general, so widely used that anyone that buys a camera, they're probably buying something more fancy. The middle of the road cameras are disappearing. Although this is a good time to, if you want to, get a little artsy. Find yourself a decent old school film camera. Learn a little bit something about film. Although you got to find someone that'll develop it or learn how to develop film.
Right.
I know Seth and Mike have been getting. Mike is very into photography as a hobby, and so he knows how to develop film, and he actually knows how to buy film to roll into his own canisters.
Oh, in bulk.
In bulk.
Yeah.
and roll your own canisters, and and Seth's been getting into it, learning a lot from him. Whenever there's a place that's got some old cameras, he's like, "Oh, we got that one. Oh, that's that
Right.
model. That's a nicer version of this model." Or, yeah. So I mean, that could be a fun hobby if you want to go old school
Yeah.
with it.
It was actually funny. This friend of mine, that I knew, a guy I knew from high school, he had this collection of old cameras, the old fold outs and this and that and the other thing. And, with the big roll film
Hmm.
and, all these different cameras. And last time I visited him, which was a couple years ago, "Oh, where's your cameras?" "Oh, he sold them all." And now he's collecting those glass insulators for power lines and whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, those look
But
nice
now
on the
that's a
shelf.
different hobby. Now, what can you do with that?
You can look at them.
You collect them.
They look
That's
nice
what
on the
collectors
shelf.
do. Yeah.
I
And
think
it's
my
cool.
grandmother had a few of those on the shelf. I don't
Yeah.
know where she got them from, but
Yeah.
they look
I
cool.
mean, it's a collectible item,
Yeah.
and they are worth some money.
Are
I'm
they?
surprised that the American Picker guys, Mike and Frank,
Yeah.
don't see more of those, in
Hmm.
their TV show. But
Well, they
of
probably
course, those
pick
guys are
the-
into motorcycles and bicycles, so
Well, they probably pick that stuff up all the time, but you can only show so much in an episode.
yeah.
I'm always
And
frustrated.
not every,
Whenever I see an episode there, if they come across a box of records, they might show 2 seconds of them flipping through some records. They never
Yeah.
show them buying any records, though.
they're not interested in them, really. Yeah.
But they do look at them, though,
Yes.
for like 2 seconds. But I
Right.
did pick up some records this past weekend. I found actually.
Oh, what did you get?
You know what? I got something that wasn't a record. A while ago, I might have mentioned. You remember the board game Clue, right? You ever play the board
Oh,
game
yeah,
Clue?
sure.
Do you remember back some time ago they put out like a larger version of Clue, the Clue Master Detective Edition, that had a bigger board with more rooms, and there were more players, so more people could play, and there were more
And
weapons.
more objects to murder people with?
Right. So it was harder to kind of narrow it down because there were a
Right.
lot more possibilities.
Options and possibilities, yeah.
But do you remember that being available?
No, not really, no.
No. Well, they did. They did have that, and I guess that wasn't as popular as original Clue. It made for a longer
Yeah.
game, and so at some point they stopped making that. And so
Right.
that's become something of a collectible game. I mean, if I went on eBay
Yeah.
right now and looked at buy it now auctions, I'm not going to see any under $20. And the $20 ones might
Right.
have some issues. There might be missing pieces or things like that.
Right.
So, but I've been keeping an eye out for a copy of this because I had this as a kid and I ended up like losing all the pieces and the thing got thrown out. And I really wish I held on to it or took better care of it at this point. But
Right.
now I want to buy another copy. And I got Emily interested in it because she loves Clue. And when I told her about it, she made Andrew buy her one online somewhere. And I think they picked up an eBay auction one. And so she has it, and I want to get it. So I was at the flea market, tons of records. So many records that we got to a point where we get to another stand with records. It's like, oh, no, I have enough. So we got to go back there another time to look through more, the records we walked by. But I get to like the last row.
You didn't bring a whole shopping cart to just fill up.
Well, I
in
only
other words.
wanted to spend so much money,
Right. And you didn't bring the big pocket full of cash.
Well, yeah.
Bags
Well, plus,
of money.
you know what? For me, I still had some money in my pocket, but
Yeah.
as long as I can look through records, I do have my limits, and I get to a point where I'm like, I'm kind of, all tapped out. on that.
Saturated.
I got
Saturated,
a nice pile. I'm looking forward to listening to this. I'm kind of bored of thumbing through these.
Yeah.
So and Seth was pretty much tapped out with his money, and Kristen was with us. Anytime we stopped to look through records, she basically had to wait for us. So she was getting a little bored and a little
yeah.
I could go home soon. So we get to the last row, and there's a pile of board games, and I look, and oh my God, there's a Clue Master Detective. And the box doesn't look beat up. The box is in good shape. Not in perfect shape, but like the seams aren't split, anything like that. It's in good shape. And it's got a 2 $8 price tag on it. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be missing some pieces for it to be $2. But I don't say this out loud. You know, I kind of play it cool. I walk over to give it a look. The guy comes, right, and the guy comes over. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's got all the pieces. I just checked it this morning." I'm like, you know, I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna look, but I'm not gonna count every card because even if he's missing cards, I'm giving this guy $2 for this game. The parts in there, if it's an incomplete game, is worth more than $2. I mean, there are people that will buy individual cards to complete their incomplete game.
When you say a shitty version copy of it on eBay for $20, $2 is a bargain.
Yeah, exactly.
But keep the poker face, right?
So I kept the poker face.
The American Pickers will give the guy a decent price. Here they're going to resell it, so they'll say, "Well, I'll give you $10 instead of $2."
Yeah,
because that's the kind of guys they are, and that's why I like them. You know, those guys are cool.
Well, the thing is, though, is they're not buying a $10, $2 thing. I mean, $8. This guy is not like out. I mean, this is something that they want to get rid of. $2 is a fair. It's not like someone walks in with something worth $10,000 and asks for $500. That's the type of thing where I would feel funny and I would be like, "Look, this thing is worth $10,000. I'll give you $8,000," or you know, something. Not like I have $8,000 to give someone for
right.
Yeah,
you're talking about pocket change, right?
But when you're buying board games for a flea market, it's all fair game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know,
this guy's trying to turn stuff into cash. That's all he cares about.
So I gave him the $2, and when I got home, I counted the cards. All the cards were there. So that was like.
So can you show the box?
Well, it's in the next room. I could.
Oh, okay.
I could pull up a picture of
just
one.
a side thing, since we're talking about games.
Yeah.
When we were going through the airport in Sydney, you know, getting ready to fly back, went by this gift shop or the souvenir shop, and they had a Sydney version of Monopoly.
Oh, cool.
I would have picked it up, but I didn't really want to carry that onto the plane.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You got to get it home.
And I didn't care that much.
You could probably order one online, too. It's not that unique. You know?
Well, of course, yeah.
Some of the interesting records I found, though, is this record here. Beethoven Bittersweet. Benninghoff's Bad Rock Blues Band. So it's people kind of jamming on some Beethoven covers is what it is. So,
cool. What are some of the titles?
Some of the well, I'm going to play the first song on side 2. The first song on side 2 is called Da 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 Da. And
Beethoven's Fifth, right?
Yes, you got it. You saw what they did there. Da 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 da. See, da 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 da. Oh boy, we're in for something here.
Woo!
I think we're introducing here. Yeah, we're building up to something. Oh, there we go. So they're kind of rocking out to some Beethoven. Not a bad record. It's worth picking up.
Roll over Beethoven.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there's a version of Roll Over Beethoven that the Beatles did. They call it Roll Over Beatles.
Oh, nice.
And that's the opening line. It's like, I'm sorry, Roll Over Beetle, singular.
Huh. Interesting.
So, yeah. I have no idea what album that's on.
One of the early ones.
And it could have been a Ringo Starr thing. I'm not sure.
Well, we could look that up at some point. few more. Might as well go through the pile. Well, I was quite thrilled to finally pick up a copy of Deep Purple Purple Passages, which is a 2 LP collection of stuff from their first 3 albums, which has a few unique mixes on it. So I've
Now,
been
on the screen, it looks blue.
yeah. Well, it's a bluish purple, but if you
Okay,
like,
it just looks blue from here, but that's
okay,
fine.
close enough.
Of course, then your screen is flipping yellow, so you know what the hell.
Yeah. Well, this was the disappointing purchase.
Did you whip it out and you're just actually getting a golden shower?
No.
Okay.
But this is a band called Flash. And this is the cover of their second album, which is called In the Can. And
Is that a boob?
That is a boob.
It's a little fuzzy, so that's why I was asking.
It's got about a hair covering
and
it.
Flash, that's the right name. Yeah.
Flash is the name of the band. And the name of the
Flash, not
Yeah.
Flash.
Flash had 2 albums, and I already have the first album. Now, Flash was a band that was formed after Yes kicked out Peter Banks. He joined with some other musicians and formed the band Flash. And yes, which is why the first time I heard Flash, I was like, well, here's a band that wants to be Yes. But unfortunately, it turned out that it's the cover for their second album, but the record inside is actually their first album.
Oh, so this was a bait and switch.
Yeah, so I ended up with...
Because they're selling you on that album cover.
Right, and innocent mistake, but I didn't look close enough until I got home. So I got another copy of this now. Hear what I mean? Sounds like a Yes knockoff band.
Yeah.
Because basically, it's got the Peter Banks, and it also has Tony Kaye, who was the original keyboard player of Yes. So the 2 Yes rejects formed another band and had a few albums, and they're worth having. But yeah. So unfortunately,
and you can get it on Amazon if they
I have the CDs.
with an auto rip.
Yeah, I have the CDs. But unfortunately, this was not in the can, so I ended up not getting it in the can. Actually, which is probably a good thing when you put it like that. So yeah, I did not get it in the can. And of course, I already showed you I picked up the Men at Work albums.
Right.
And I found me a promo 12-inch single of Puff Daddy. It was cheap, so why not pick up some Puff Daddy on vinyl? You remember this one, right?
Yeah.
When Puff Daddy decided to remake Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. So I thought that was a cool 12-inch single to pick up.
Right.
Oh, how'd you like the BTO disc?
Oh, that was very cool. So yeah, here's the story. So Jonathan made available a first version of a Berkman Turner Overdrive, and I popped it in my system, and it had no audio for whatever reason.
It was not to spec, and Brian's DVD player was having none of this.
It says, this is nothing. So he did another one, which incidentally, the file is a lot smaller.
Well, because it doesn't include the DVD audio portion.
And that's right. And I ripped that, and that plays wonderfully. And we even tweeted the fact that I says, hey, wait a second. My system has a center rear speaker, and there's nothing on it.
Right. Well, there's also nothing on the center front either.
Except that my center front plays something.
Are you sure?
I don't know if it's a combined. Yes, absolutely. I put my head to it like Yeah.
Well,
I don't know
I
if
mean,
it's combined or
somehow
I'm
you're.
not sure.
N- Now I wonder if it's
Yeah.
doing it right at all. How is your?
I had sound coming out of the subwoofer.
Well, the subwoofer it will do a low pass filter and generate sound for,
Right.
but a
right.
center it usually won't derive on its own because there's a channel going to it, which makes me wonder
Yeah.
if somehow it's playing the disc wrong. Did that sound in the first song actually swirl around the room?
I'd have to play it again.
Okay.
I was still, situating myself in the room and kind of figuring out what was going on, playing with the
Yeah.
volume. Because at first I didn't have it loud enough. The rear speakers were a little soft, so I had to crank it up.
Okay. So which did the DTS track work?
DTS.
Well, the first
Track.
menu that comes up when you put on the disc is a menu to select DTS or Dolby Digital.
Oh, that's right. I don't get a menu at all. It just starts, when you hit play. Oh, wait a second. It paused at first,
It had a
but
menu.
it didn't appear to be a menu. I'll have to pop it in again and see if that's actually a menu.
Yeah, because there would be a DTS logo, a Dolby Digital logo. So if you just hit enter again, it probably just you probably just pick the DTS track. Which if that worked, that's a good sign. Now, so your DVD player is hooked up with a digital connection to your receiver, right? Like using either coaxial digital or an optical cable, or is it HDMI?
I
I need to come
forgot.
over. You know what? I need to
forgot.
come over. I need to come over to your house. Make sure you're playing my discs right.
Yeah.
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 You know what? I know what I'll do. Next disc I'm
I'll,
going to send
I'll
you.
have to. I'll have to look again. I forgot.
I'll
it
make
could
you.
be.
I'll make you a little
I
test.
thought it was RCA cables.
Well, if you're using RCA cables, you're not getting the right quad. You're getting a stereo down mix, and your receiver's doing its own funky decoding, because you have to have a digital connection to the receiver to play back a digital surround track.
Oh. Well, I'll check that and do my homework and figure that out.
Yeah, although it sounded like you got something, so you might have done. I don't know. You see, surrounds. This is one of the reasons why surround sound didn't catch on. In addition to the
Right.
format wars and the lack of titles, it was confusing. It wasn't just you plug it in.
Actually, the average consumer has difficulty. To me, it's absurd, but it's true. Have difficulty setting up stereo speakers.
Yeah.
Which, that's why we use those RCA cables, with the plug on both ends, so the idiot can just plug it in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the audiophile is going to use speaker cables and he's going to wire each connection, make sure the polarity is correct, blah 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 blah.
Which is still a pain in the ass. Although I put banana plugs on the end of my cables, which was also a pain in the ass to do, but I only had to do it once.
Right.
And then I had to then when I moved, I had to change a bunch of my wires anyway, so I had to redo a bunch of that anyway. So it really didn't save me any trouble. Anyways,
I find it fun to. I'm going to be moving this receiver, so I've got to unconnect everything and hope that I can remember how to connect it back up.
Well,
although to me, it's actually not that difficult. I find it easy.
I'm going to make a test disc.
30s.
I'm going to make you a test disc. I'm going to put some samplers of past conversions I've done. A nice little sampler disc, but I'm going to put like a channel identification track on there so that you can play that. And if you hear everything is coming out of its correct isolated channel properly, then you got something set up right. But the center channel having sound come out of it when there is a specific silent track devoted to the center says something's not quite right with your setup. That I'm not expecting to happen. And I wouldn't expect it to drive
on Twitter, I said, hey, here's what you do, is you set up a track on that rear center that says, there's nothing on this track.
But then there would be something on that track.
I know.
That's
what makes it funny.
I love love it. I'm not going to do that, but
Yeah, exactly.
well, hey, this has been another fun-filled edition of the show. That
Holy crap! We're already at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, we have blown away 2 hours. We talked about games. We talked about your game systems. We talked about flying. We talked about not flying. We've talked about records and board games and TV shows.
This friend of mine was flying into San Francisco from, I forget, the East Coast someplace, and he set up his iPhone against the window to film the landing.
Right.
So it's about a 2-minute deal. Yes, very boring. And he says, "Oh, this is a rough landing." And then, so I watched the whole thing to see how tough it was. It's like, are you shitting me? You call that rough? You didn't even do any crabbing. Where the thing is landing kind of sideways.
Ah, yeah, that.
Yeah. Now,
there's a trick to
when
that.
we went to the Great Barrier Reef, this place called Hamilton Island, if we did crabbing, it wasn't that noticeable, but it was a rough land. There was a crosswind. So we, came down hard and fast and scary. To me, his landing was not scary at all.
Yeah. I've not had scary landings, but
Yeah.
flying home, there was some rough spots, and I did get a little queasy at points in time, but not so queasy that I had to stop watching the movie.
Right.
My worst flight was the flight into Dallas for one of the site migrations.
Yeah.
There was a storm that the plane flew into, and I basically had to turn off whatever movie I was watching and just spend the rest of my time in that flight focusing on not puking.
Yeah.
And the great thing is once you get on the ground and you get on your feet, walk around a little bit, you feel like $1,000,000 again. It doesn't take long to snap out of it, but when you're in it and you feel like it and the plane is still shaking, it's like, oh my God, get me out of here.
Well, when we were flying back from Sydney, in fact, the first hour, we were in fairly rough turbulence.
Ooh,
and so the seatbelt sign kept going on, and then he would turn it off a little bit. I think the flight attendants would run around and try to get something done, and then it would come on again, and then I was sitting down again. Yeah, so it was rough for the first hour. And then it kind of got smooth, not a big deal.
Yeah.
My dad says he can't sleep on a plane because to him, he's flown a lot. He used to fly to Washington, D.C. all the time, once a week.
Right.
For years. So he's flown a lot. He said he can't sleep on a plane because when he falls asleep, the engine stops. And that freaks him out.
But then again, if your plane goes into some sort of a vortex that takes you to the land of the Langoliers, you want to be asleep or you won't survive.
Right.
Anyways, we do.
But of course, it only stops in his head, but that's beside the point.
Well, stopped engine's a bad thing when you're in a plane. But we do try to be educational here. So, what have you learned this week, Brian?
I learned that my surround system might not be set up correctly, so I now have homework to check that out.
Okay, and I've learned. What have I learned? I've learned. Well, I did learn earlier this week that Radio Shack's closing is a great opportunity for cheap cables. I got me a spool of 100 foot of speaker wire for $10. I don't need 100 feet of speaker wire, but how could I afford to not?
Eventually, you will.
I will.
And when you look at
point.
it, 100 feet, since you have 4 speakers typically or more,
I use
that's
a
really
lot of
only
speaker wire.
25 feet, right?
Well, yeah, on average. Anyways,
yeah.
once again, thank you very much for listening to.
Insert title here.
And be sure to check out NHRadio.com for all your internet radio needs. Tune in to Vamp tomorrow night, 6 to 8 for ADHD Radio. And NHRadio.com. Thank you for listening. Good night.
When is Venison's show on?
Venison Stew. You know what? Let's stay connected and look up Venison Stew because he's on like different. I think he's on like the Beyond TBRN is the station, the Beyond Radio Network, TBRN.net, and I think he's on 2 days a week. Let's see if they list.
Oh, okay. Because often I'll see his tweet about his show. It's like, oh well, that was a couple of hours ago, so that doesn't help.
Yeah. Well, when you see his tweet, I don't see Venison Stew on TBRN's schedule. Darn. You know what? We need to call Venison, but he's offline.
Does he jump
still.
in last minute and to check it to see if he can get on?
You know what? Stay tuned. We'll figure that out for next week. Good night, everybody.
All right, very good.